Hello everyone, welcome to agriculture. We are still on farm budgets. So this is our lesson number 4 in farm budget. So according to the syllabus, this is how we have been moving in this topic of farm budget. So from lesson 1 I introduced what farm budgeting is, then we went as far as types of farm budgets, which are partial budget, complete budget, and break-even analysis. Welcome to the final type of farm budgets, which is known as break-even analysis. By first looking at this sentence, so you can agree with me that at low levels of sales, when a business is not selling enough products for it to cover the cost, you see that business making some losses. So when a business is not selling much products and the revenue not covering the cost, you see that business making some losses. And you can also agree with me that as more items are being sold, the total revenue increases and is able to cover the cost. So at that point, you see that business making some profits. Now let's go back to break-even analysis by looking at break-even point. So break-even point is the point when the total revenue exactly matches the total cost, and in that scenario the business cannot make profit or losses. So at that point, we call that point as a break-even point, where business cannot make profit or loss just because the total revenue exactly matches the total cost. Now, if the firm can sell at production levels above this point, it will be making some profits. So imagine you are selling your products above this break-even point, so it means you are going to make profits because you are increasing the production levels above this break-even point. So when your production levels are below this break-even point, you see that you'll be making some losses because you are selling below break-even point. Now let us see how break-even analysis or break-even point can be important to the farmer when it comes to farm budgets. So break-even analysis is important in several different situations. So the first importance of doing break-even point, it helps a farmer to come up with the price which is more efficiently, the price which the farmer is making profits. So the break-even analysis helps the farmer to come up with the price in which he or she can make some profits. Another importance is that it helps the farmer to determine the profits. Apart from helping a farmer to come up with the price, break-even analysis can also help a farmer to determine some profits. Another importance of break-even analysis is that it helps a farmer when it comes to securing a business loan, because in those lending institutions, the most important thing which they ask is what is your break-even analysis in past 2 years. So by doing this break-even analysis, it helps a farmer to secure a business loan. At this point, let us now discuss how to calculate break-even analysis. So the first thing to consider when calculating break-even analysis is a variable of unit cost. So you need to determine the variable cost of producing 1 unit of the product you want to sell. So you need to calculate how much variable cost is there in my one unit of the product which I am selling. So don't confuse with total variable cost here. Here we are talking of the variable cost needed to produce one product. Another important thing is to determine the total fixed cost. So you need to determine the total fixed cost for the whole business, not for a single product. Here is total fixed cost, not the cost, not the fixed cost for one product, but total fixed cost. So we can say my product, my total fixed cost is 25,000. So per month. So each month you have that total fixed cost of 25,000. So total fixed cost, we already defined that is the cost which do not change with size. So here is another definition which says the cost to keep your business operating even you didn't produce any product. Let us now continue discussing how to calculate break-even analysis by looking at this important term. So you also need to determine the unit selling price. For example, you can say I'll be selling my eggs at 100 kwacha per egg. So you need also to determine the units of selling your products. And another final thing which is also needed in order for you to calculate break-even analysis is to determine the sales volume and the unit price. So here the break-even point will change as sales volume for the product and the unit price changes. So here you need also to determine the sales volume. Like for example, I'll have my sales volume of 25,000 eggs and my unit price is so you need also to determine that so that it can help you to do break-even analysis. At this point, let us look at the formula to use in break-even analysis or break-even point. So these formula have been categorized into two. The formula for calculating break-even point, but in terms of amount or in terms of units. So you can calculate the amount in which the amount needed to be produced in order for you not to make losses or not to make profits. So this amount can be calculated as break-even point in terms of units is equal to total fixed costs, the total fixed costs which we were discussing, divided by the selling price. But this selling price is per unit and minus variable cost per unit again, not total variable cost but variable cost per unit. So this formula is used to calculate the amount in which you need to produce in order for you not to make profits and losses. Another part is the break-even target price. So as I've already said, that the break-even analysis helps you to come up with the price which you can take it as a reference in order for you to come with the price which you make profit. So this break-even target price is the price which you don't make profits or losses. So the formula used is break-even point target price is equal to, here now is total variable costs. So you need to calculate all the variable costs, not variable costs per unit, but total variable cost plus total fixed cost over production level. And it's like your capacity, how much have you produced. So that one is a production level. So these are the most important formula to use in a break-even point, to find break-even point. Break-even point in terms of units amount and the break-even point in terms of price. Now let us look at graphical representation of break-even point. So here is our graph, and that axis is cost in dollars and output. So you see that point labeled as break-even point. So at that point, you don't make profits or losses. So in an exam, they can even ask you what is the break-even point in terms of the output. So in terms of the output is 5,000 can be bags or kgs. So in terms of break-even targeted price, you can say it's $25,000. So this is how we present break-even point graphically. And above that point, you see that business making some profits, and below that you see the business making some losses. So here are our examples. So the first example is asking us to find the break-even, but in terms of units or in terms of amounts. So the other one is also asking us to find the break-even point, but in terms of the price. So let's move on to the next slide. And this slide marks the end of today's lesson. And in our next lesson, we'll continue solving problems involving break-even analysis. And it will also marks the end of this topic known as farm budgets, and where we also be doing a topic review in this farm budgets. Please don't miss the next class. Thank you.